Breaking news night. Mark, thank you. We have incredible guests, Joe DeGeneva, the great one, Mark Levin. We have breaking news this hour. It's so much worse than we knew or thought. The story of corrupt DOJ official, ex-foreign spies working together literally to stop Donald Trump from becoming president, and then after his election to destroy him. We have more major breaking news surrounding Bruce Orr, Christopher Steele, and now Steele's boss, Fusion GPS founder Glenn Simpson. Now, the Hill's John Solomon has now uncovered additional disturbing communications, and for the first time, we have them. Handwritten notes from Bruce Orr detailing how he coordinated with Clinton's team of op researchers, all in the lead up to the election. We need to get to the bottom of it. We have new details surrounding just how deep state Christopher Steele's Russian ties are. By the way, Robert Mueller, please tune in. We have found more actual real Russia collusion that you might want to investigate if you care about truth and equal justice under the law. Also tonight, we will bring you the unusual case of what looks like a Chinese spy and Senator Dianne Feinstein. It fits perfectly and highlights our two-tiered system of justice. This went on for over 20 years. We'll explain coming up. And don't expect, by the way, to hear any of this over at Conspiracy TV MSNBC, where their top left of Mao, their words, conspiracy theorist Rachel Maddow is pushing and busy pushing more bizarre anti-Trump conspiracy theories and lies. This is 24/7. Tom Brokaw, pay attention. This is your NBC News. And last night's show, well, she broke another bombshell report because there's a secret recording from the House Intel Committee Chairman, Devin Nunes, where he warned about the consequences if Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats take back the House in November. The horror. He told the truth. And meanwhile, over at fake news CNN, so-called reporter, BS artist Jim Acosta is basking in the anti-Trump limelight and appeared on Stephen Colbert's show last night. We'll show you the worst of the worst. Buckle up. Time for an important breaking news opening monologue. All right, tonight, once again, John Solomon has a major breaking report. This time, he's now exposing how Fusion GPS literally coordinated with Obama's Justice Department, all in the lead up to the 2016 election. Now, remember, Fusion GPS was the consulting firm. It was hired by the DNC and the Clinton campaign. They're the ones that dug up the dirt on then candidate Trump that was full of Russian lies. And according to now newly unearthed handwritten notes that we now have, senior Justice Department official Bruce Orr, he knew about Glenn Simpson's effort to leak the dirty dossier to the press prior to the election. He wrote, quote, "It was Glenn's Hail Mary attempt." Hail Mary attempt, of course, to defeat Trump with Hillary bought and paid for Russian lies. And it gets worse. Now, Bruce Orr also wrote that Glenn Simpson gave him a memory stick during a discreet meeting at a coffee shop. By the way, where's that stick? Is it acid washed? Did they beat it up with a hammer? Now, to put this simply, this new clear evidence is showing Hillary Clinton's op research team was working with the Department of Justice in the Obama years to malign an opposition party candidate, and Bruce Orr, Barack Obama's number 4 at the DOJ, represented Team Clinton's efforts to use your government as a weapon against the Trump campaign. And as we speak, the House Judiciary Committee Chairman, Bob Goodlatte, he is now preparing subpoenas for Bruce Orr, Nellie Orr, and Glenn Simpson. And meanwhile, we're also learning new details about Christopher Steele and his shady ties to a Russian oligarch. Byron York uncovered emails from 2016 showing that Christopher Steele was, in fact, lobbying on behalf of a Russia aluminum tycoon. Oh, guess what? With close ties to Vladimir Putin. Robert Mueller, Jeff Sessions, where are you people? And Steele even pressed Bruce Orr to help rectify this Russian oligarch's U.S. visa status after he was already banned from the United States. And Steele even pressed Bruce Orr to help rectify the oligarch status. And after he was banned, guess what? He got to come back. So here what we have is an ex-foreign spy working for a Putin-linked oligarch, gets him into the United States after being banned. by using his connection, the number 4 guy at the DOJ, during an election where Steele, being paid by Hillary and the DNC, they literally are using Russian lies and propaganda. They create the research against the president. Then you have Fusion GPS. Then you have Christopher Steele disseminating that information to influence the American people what are outright lies, because this is their Hail Mary pass. Robert Mueller, you have no interest in investigating this? You don't think that's part of your mandate? But Paul Manafort's 2005 taxes that had nothing to do with the campaign, Russia, Trump, or the election, that's in your mandate? This is why we on this show, this is why the president rightly is calling this a witch hunt. This is a politically motivated prosecution of a man they never wanted to be president. They were going to stop him. And after every dirty trick that they used to defeat Donald Trump, and it failed, well, then they tried to destroy the president. Why? Because you voted for him. I could go on, but I think Rudy Giuliani said it best last night right here on this program. Take a look.
The reality is, the real story here is not that this case isn't going to fizzle. It's going to blow up on them. The real question is what we talked about before. There's a lot more to what they did that nobody knows about yet.
I know some of it.
A lot more to the obstruction of justice, to the collusion, to the fake dossier.
Oh, I know.
To trying to bring Steele back in after he was completely discredited.
And then feed it to Mueller.
Yeah. And Mueller is going to have a lot to answer for.
Yes, he does, without a doubt. This witch hunt is the pinnacle of a two-tiered system of justice alive and well in this country, the United States of America. Hillary Clinton commits multiple, obvious, serious felonies. We've said it a million times. Mishandling, top secret, intel on a private server, deleting it, acid washing it, busting up devices with hammers, obstructing justice. She got a get-out-of-jail-free card from her friends who wrote an exoneration before investigation, Comey, Strzok, and others. And then you have Shifty Schiff. Remember, we played it? He colluded on tape, conspired on tape with a Russian to get dirt on Donald Trump. Robert Mueller, where are you? Meanwhile, President Trump, all his allies, they're slammed with the full force weight of the FBI and the DOJ based on what is Clinton bought and paid for, Russian lies put together by a spy who's friends with a Russian oligarch and working on his behalf to get him into the country after he's been kicked out. Paul Manafort, oh, big case, trial of the century, facing life in prison over a 2005 tax case on bank and tax charges that had nothing to do with Trump, Russia, or the campaign. Lieutenant General Flynn coerced into a plea deal after exculpatory evidence was withheld, and then he has to sell his house because he can't afford to pay for his defense. And don't forget about even Carter Page, 2016. The FBI thought he was a Russian spy. And what did they do? They used Steele, friend of the Russian oligarch, his dirty dossier that even he doesn't stand by. He doesn't even think it's true. Misleading 4 separate FISA judges to spy on a Trump campaign associate. This is all happening. You can't make this up in a spy novel. But was President Trump, was he ever notified by our federal government that a possible spy might have infiltrated his campaign so he could help our government, help the FBI? Not a chance. Meanwhile, a very different story plays out if you're a Democrat by the name of Senator Dianne Feinstein. Look at the shocking revelations. 2013, Feinstein notified by the FBI. One of her top aides is investigated as a Chinese spy. In other words, the FBI sought to protect Feinstein, not Trump, perhaps because the highest levels of the FBI are wrought with anti-Trump corrupt bias and trying to take down the candidate, stop him with an insurance policy if, God forbid, he does win. Not Senator Feinstein. Look, night after night on this program, we are breaking important news, investigative reporting. I've said many times we're peeling back the layers of corruption, the biggest abuse of power in our country's history at the highest levels of our government. Now, that's not the case in the rest of the news media. Let's take, for example, Conspiracy TV, MSNBC. You're going to love this tape. Now, this is not the case. They're more interested in pushing salacious rumors, lies, accusations. Tom Brokaw, you spent your entire career. This is your NBC News. And nowhere is this more true than their chief conspiracy theorist, Rachel Maddow. Last night, up to her old tricks, literally making something out of nothing, whipping these left-wing viewers into a frenzy over a secret recording of the House Intel Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, where he warned a room full of donors that if Republicans lose, all deep state investigations will be halted and Democrats will try to impeach Trump. We've been saying this literally every night on this program. They also, by the way, want open borders to eliminate ICE, keep Obamacare, and they want the crumbs back. Now, of course, making a big deal out of nothing, well, that's kind of their MO over there at fake news MSNBC. We can't forget about their big scoop. Remember, they got one page of Donald Trump's 2005 tax return for 45 minutes. We got it. Here it is. It's here. And what did we discover? He paid millions and millions and millions of dollars in taxes. And then, of course, there's Rachel's favorite conspiracy, that Trump is an agent of Russia. I'm not making this up. Watch.
If the president did that today because he has some reason to serve that other country rather than our own, then a lot that has previously been inexplicable is now explicable.
Is our president subordinate to a foreign power?
Yeah.
Does our president answer to a foreign government and a foreign leader? The worst case scenario that the president is a foreign agent suddenly feels very palpable.
What would change the world is if, Russia was interfering in the election and they weren't doing it on their own and he was in on it.
I mean, this guy is supposedly somebody who works at the Russian central bank. Why did the FSB give him a medal for his work? A medal of appreciation right after Donald Trump clinched the Republican nomination for president.
He's a foreign agent. That's why he's being so tough on Putin, like Obama wasn't and Clinton wasn't. Now, if you think her fake, her overhype, so-called scoops, flat-out conspiracy theories in there, well, think again. Take a look at this little wacky trip down conspiracy lane. I think you'll like it.
Of course, Trump picked as his Secretary of State, not Mitt Romney, but out of nowhere, the Exxon CEO, Rex Tillerson, to whom Vladimir Putin had personally awarded the Russian Order of Friendship. Tillerson is someone who Trump had never met before the presidential election. He'd never had any dealings with. Where did he come up with that as a choice for his Secretary of State? The perception that the president may have ordered these strikes, in part because of scandal, will affect the impact and the effectiveness of these military strikes. Unavoidably.
They pulled their troops starting Friday, September 29th, which would be the Friday after the Trump administration made this baffling decision to insult and harm our closest military ally in that region. Those troops from Chad got pulled out the 29th. Well, right after that, that's when 4 U.S. Army soldiers got attacked by a large contingent of ISIS fighters in Niger.
Venezuelans are enraged anew by this brand new FEC filing from the White House.
Okay, if you think fake news couldn't get any worse, any more dramatic, any more self-involved, you're forgetting about CNN's most outspoken Trump hater. That's right, B.S. Jim Acosta. Now, he's supposed to be an unbiased White House correspondent, but as we've shown you many times, all too often, he uses his hatred, his contempt, his left-wing agenda for President Trump because he's launching himself into a national spotlight. He's becoming a star. Last night, no exception. He tweeted out this picture of himself. Look deeply into his own eyes just before appearing on The Late Show with fellow Trump hater Stephen Colbert. Take a look.
These folks are focused on the coverage of the president's behavior more so than they are the president's behavior. And to me, I think that the president's behavior is more newsworthy than our coverage. But a lot of these folks out there, they're getting their sense of what we do twisted and warped by some people out there who just want to do the president's bidding.
Do you worry that the president points at y'all so much and that there's a natural need to respond as a human being that you end up being the story when that's not really the goal of your journalism?
Right, and we're not supposed to be the story. That's not why I'm out there. I get accused of that from time to time, and my attitude is, listen, I'm allowed to care about this country just as much as anybody else.
When you're corrupt, when you lie, when you're nothing but an extension of the Democratic Party, yeah, you're going to get called out. By the way, that picture was so bizarre. And Acosta's constant flirtation with fame over actual journalism is so obvious that even some of his peers in the mainstream media, they're beginning to notice. On Tuesday, The Atlantic referred to Acosta's conduct as a dangerous brand of performance journalism. Meanwhile, frequent guests on fake news CNN, conspiracy TV, MSNBC, filmmaker Michael Moore is coming out with a new documentary. He refers to Trump as the last president of the United States. It's going to be a coup. It's going to be bad. Well, it's the perfect example of pre-election left-wing lunacy.
How the did this happen?
The American dream is dead. Stop resisting.
The president's powers here are beyond question.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last president of the United States.
Scary music, the worst picture you can find, all the special effects. The president's success is really starting to throw these people over the ledge. So, by the way, Michael Moore, if you're watching, cover your eyes. You're not going to like what I'm about to show. Pew Research Center. Trump voters overwhelmingly approve of their choice for president. We got a lot of breaking news. Joining us now, 2 weeks in a row now, the #1 New York Times bestseller, The Russian Hoax, the illicit scheme to clear Hillary Clinton and frame Donald Trump, Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett. From the Hill, John Solomon, and investigative reporter, Fox News contributor Sarah Carter. John, let's start with these new developments tonight. I have copies, but I'm not allowed to show them, am I?
Well, listen, I have some of these handwritten notes, and unlike BuzzFeed and other organizations that let unredacted information out without checking into it, I don't think it's responsible to put all the handwritten notes out until we check the information out.
And we know the handwritten notes were written by, too?
Bruce Orr, the Justice Department official, Bruce Orr. That's what Congress has been told. And these notes are from a December 11th meeting. Let me set the table. It's 1 month after Donald Trump has won the election. It's 1 month after Christopher Steele, the opposition researcher, British intelligence agent, has been fired by the FBI. The Democrats are still in shock. I assume Lisa Page and Stroker still sorting through their feelings after the election. And all of a sudden, Bruce Orr goes to a coffee shop in Washington and he meets Glenn Simpson. That's Christopher Steele's boss, the owner of Fusion GPS, the Clinton research firm. And he gets a memory card, a thumb drive of documents coming to Bruce Orr. Bruce Orr is not in the counterintelligence team. He's not an FBI counterintelligence person. And in fact, his wife worked for Fusion GPS, so he might have a conflict of interest under the Justice Department rules.
Or it does?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's for lawyers to decide, but clearly it's an issue that's been flagged, right? And he gets this, and he gets a series of admissions that he writes down in his notes, and I think these are so important. I'll just go through them quickly. One, Simpson acknowledged he encouraged Steele to leak a story just before the election as a Hail Mary attempt, obviously to throw the election. Now remember, Glenn Simpson testified he only pursued this information because he thought it was good citizenship. It wasn't about politics, it was about being a good citizen. Here you see him telling his friend who takes a note, it's about elections. Here's another one. He doesn't have any sources in Moscow where this alleged plot is. It's an intelligence agent who's now living in the United States. That's a red flag for all the intelligence people I talk to. Sounds like compromise, not a real intelligence source. And he goes on, he talks about this incredible theory he has, which is really there were 3 spies in the Trump campaign. First it was Manafort, he got booted. Then it was Carter Page, he got booted. So then Michael Cohen must have been the third link because, well, he's married to someone who knows somebody in Russia. And he puts all this down, and Orr's taking it, and 2 days later, Orr takes it out, and he runs it over to the FBI, and he does an interview and tells them what it is. And why is this important? The FBI fired Christopher Steele and said it was going to not take any more information from this political opposition research operation, but Bruce Orr is the guy walking it in the door after the firing. It has to concern people at the FISA court, has to concern professional intelligence people like I talked to today who looked at these notes and said, this is the worst form of intelligence gathering we've ever seen.
It's called corruption. Sarah, you're working on a couple of stories yourself. You want to add to all of this?
Well, I think John laid it out perfectly when he talks about what happened with Bruce Orr. The bigger question here, I think, after all of this information has been released is who authorized Bruce Orr at the Department of Justice to be the back channel for the FBI, Sean? And another question is who at the FBI was authorizing this? It had to have been McCabe. Could it have been McCabe? Could it have been somebody above McCabe like Comey to use Bruce Orr as the back channel for Christopher Steele? They knew he had been fired. He had violated the protocol. He had violated all of the rules. He had been dismissed, but they were still using him. I think these are some of the biggest questions. And John's right, because the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, that's something that I've been looking at. They will be very, and they are very, very concerned about what happened, because this affects the ability to trust the Bureau, the ability to trust those people in counterintelligence that are giving them the information. This is supposed to be factual. They are supposed to have facts. They attributed everything in that FISC. If you read the application, what's been released, they say this is absolute fact. We know Carter Page is a spy. He's working with the Russians. We know this. We know that.
Why isn't he arrested?
And that's right. Why isn't he arrested? And one more quick point. They left out all the information on Bruce Orr out of that application. They did not inform the FISC court of what was going on. And that's the biggest problem here.
All right, so Russian lies get the. I want to go into all this. There's so much to unpeel here. You got the Pfizer court lied to on multiple levels. There's a fraud committed to the court. Then you got Strzok and Page, and of course Comey writes the exoneration. But you got them saying we're going to stop them, and they have an insurance policy. Then you got Glenn Simpson here. Now he wants to throw a Hail Mary with, again, unverified Steele dossier. Steele doesn't even stand. He doesn't even stand by his own dossier when under oath. But now we got an oligarch from Russia kicked out of the country. You got Orr, Steele talking about bringing him back in and spreading misinformation, lying to the American people to sway an election, and then lie to a Pfizer court, get into the Trump campaign, and then using the information after to take down the president after he beats all of this crap.
Historic, rampant corruption by the FBI and the Department of Justice. Robert Mueller should do the right thing, end his investigation, and make an announcement that the accusations of Trump-Russia collusion were nothing more than a hoax. Every day, thanks to John, Sarah, and others, there are new revelations that the evidence against Trump was simply invented. It was conjured out of thin air. There was never any real evidence.
What about all these Russian connections?
The FBI,
and then Adam Schiff talking to a Russian.
The FBI knew that this was fake. They knew that Steele was a liar.
Not rank and file. Very important.
No. But Comey and his Confederates knew that it wasn't real. They didn't care. They knew that Steele was a liar. They fired him for it. And yet they kept using him even after Trump was elected and inaugurated. There was never any plausible evidence.
Real quick, because we got to run, guys. We're up on
I
the
was
clock.
just going to say on Sean, and they used a foreign spy. If you want to see any connections, look at the connections between the Democratic Party, Russia, and a British spy. Those are the connections.
All right. I have your articles on Hannity.com. You've got to read it in detail. Great reporting, all three of you. Thank you. When we come back, Ed Henry has an explosive report. Joe DeGeneva, the great one, Mark Levin. We got a busy night here. Stay with us. All right, joining us now with more information about a possible Chinese spy working for Democrat Senator Dianne Feinstein for 2 decades. Fox News chief national correspondent Ed Henry outside the White House. Sir, amazing the different treatment we have here.
Well, it's the collusion story the media hasn't spent a lot of time on, maybe because it's not about President Trump and Russia. Instead, it's about China allegedly infiltrating the office of a powerful Democrat in Senator Dianne Feinstein. This involves one of her staffers. His name is Russell Lowe. He was her driver, as you say, for a couple of decades, but also her liaison to the Asian American community out in her home state of California. He visited relatives a few years ago overseas and became acquainted on the trip with someone who, it turns out, was connected to China's Ministry of State Security, basically a spy. As the San Francisco Chronicle says it, quote, he didn't even know what was happening, that he was being recruited. He just thought it was some friend. Well, no, it wasn't a friend. So 5 years ago, FBI agents showed up at Feinstein's office here in Washington and revealed that her staffer was actually under investigation. It does not appear the driver actually revealed anything of major substance, but the contact with China was so serious that Feinstein forced the aide into retirement and tried to keep all of this quiet until the Chronicle blew the story wide open about a week or so ago. Bottom line is the president has been trying to bring more attention to it, tweeting, among other things, quote, Diane is the person leading our nation on collusion with Russia, only done by Dems. Will she now investigate herself? Well, the senator fired back in a tweet, basically declaring that after being contacted by the FBI, quote, I took those concerns seriously, learned the facts, and made sure the employee left my office immediately. Well, Republican Lindsey Graham is demanding to know why, in the cases of Carter Page and George Papadopoulos, the FBI did not give the president a similar heads up and allow them to just leave the campaign. Instead, they launched an investigation. Here's Graham.
Why didn't they do for Trump what they did for Feinstein? What the hell's going on at the FBI?
In fact, in the case of Carter Page, as you know, he was put under surveillance for a couple of years, and he still has not been charged with anything, Sean.
All right, Ed Henry at the White House. Great report tonight. We appreciate it. Joining us now with much more reaction, former U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. There he is, Joe DeGenova. We got Shiftless, or Shifty Schiff, we'll call him, all right? We got him on tape colluding about naked pictures of Donald Trump, okay, with a Russian. Then we got a FISA, Russian lies paid for by Hillary used to spy on Americans. Now we've got Bruce Orr, Steele, Fusion, GPS. And what do we got there? Oh, their Hail Mary and evidence of their Hail Mary to push the Russian lies to the American people to impact the outcome of an election. And then when it fails, oh, and they're also helping a Russian oligarch who was kicked out of the country get back in. If it wasn't so serious, Joe, and so freaking hypocritical, it would be funny. This isn't funny. We're losing the whole concept of our constitutional republic here.
Well, from the beginning of this entire episode, it has been very clear that there was a brazen plot to exonerate Hillary Clinton illegally, and if she lost the election, to frame Donald Trump with false crimes. Why did that happen? It happened because the FBI and the DOJ during the Obama administration were pro-Democrat and anti-Republican. I repeat, this was a partisan decision. This had nothing to do with criminal activity or anything else. They hated Donald Trump. They didn't like Republicans. Why do you think they didn't give a defensive briefing to Donald Trump's campaign about attempted Russian influence? Because they wanted to investigate Donald Trump, not help him. They wanted to frame him. In the case of Dianne Feinstein, they wanted to help the little Democrat who didn't know she had a Chinese spy on her staff for 20 years. I must say, the pathetic nature of the partisanship of the FBI and DOJ under Obama really lays bare the simpleton-like remarks of the former president, when he said there was not a scintilla, not an ounce of scandal in his administration. Obama's administration, as far as the FBI and DOJ are concerned, will go down as the single most corrupt FBI and DOJ in the history of the United States. Thank you very much, President Obama.
It's so much deeper. It is surveillance. It is unmasking. It is raw intelligence leaking. But let me stay in this. Strzok and Page, we stop him. We have an insurance policy. Hail Mary passes. Russian oligarchs given consideration. Russian lies paid for by Hillary. Lies to the American people. Literally misinformation pushed out by a lot of these people.
Yes,
then
indeed.
You got Orr and Steele and Fusion GPS. They're all coordinating together here. Then we've got these other examples of people really helping a Russian oligarch. Real tapes of collusion and conspiracy with Schiff. All of this, these written evidence here that they want to stop Trump, they want to destroy him, they want to throw their Hail Mary, and then they want an insurance policy.
Yes, and it's very clear, that's a beautiful outline of the criminal case that needs to be investigated by the Department of Justice against all those senior FBI and DOJ officials.
Where are they, Joe?
What you have
outlined is on trial for a 2005 tax charge. Where's Mueller?
Mueller doesn't want anything to do with this, and that's why Rod Rosenstein...
Does he want to take down the president now? Or, interestingly, and Steele are talking about getting their information, their lies to Mueller.
This was, in fact, a plot to destroy Donald Trump with collusive evidence, with fraudulent evidence.
Because I don't see equal justice under the law or application of the law.
No, first of all, the president is not going anywhere. President Trump is fine. Nothing's going to happen to him. The real question is, what's going to happen to Bruce Orr? Why didn't Mueller look at any of this? What's going to happen to John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey, and all the people who committed crimes at the top of the administration? All of them.
What's going to happen, Joe? Quick.
If Rod Rosenstein is an honorable man, he'll make sure that Mr. Huber
is he an honorable man,
everyone.
Joe?
I can't answer that question. I wish I could.
Where's Jeff Sessions? Where's
asleep
Mueller?
At the wheel?
We have Russia collusion. Evidence. Proof. This is pathetic. When we come back, buckle up. The great one, Mark Levin, is next.
The reality is, the real story here is not that this case isn't going to fizzle. It's going to blow up on them. The real question is what we talked about before. There's a lot more to what they did that nobody knows about yet.
I know some of it.
A lot more to the obstruction of justice, to the collusion, to the fake dossier.
Oh, I know.
To trying to bring Steele back in after he was completely discredited.
And then feed it to Mueller.
Yeah. And Mueller is going to have a lot to answer for.
President Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, last night right here on this program, describing how Mueller's case is, quote, going to blow up in the special counsel's face. Somebody's been saying that for a little while. The host of CRTV's Levin TV, right here, Sunday night, 10 Eastern, the #1 show on Sunday night on cable news. It's the great one, Mark Levin. Let me let you pick up from here, but you also have been saying things that I've been paying very close attention to. The Constitution of the United States is on the president's side. The president ought not be speaking to the people that are running this witch hunt. Take it from there.
First of all, Robert Mueller is a greater threat to this republic and the Constitution than anything Vladimir Putin did during the campaign. And I'm no fan of Vladimir Putin. He's threatening to take down a president of the United States. Now, let's walk through this quickly. The president is not a witness to any crime. How do we know that? Because we don't know what crime they're even talking about. So he doesn't need to be questioned as a witness. President did not commit a crime. What crime did he commit? So he's not a target. He doesn't need to be questioned about that. According to the Department of Justice, a president can't be indicted. A president cannot be questioned by a subordinate like Mr. Mueller about his prerogatives as president, that is, the firing of a subordinate like Mr. Comey. So what questions exactly does Mr. Mueller have? I'm talking to you, Mr. Mueller. Exactly what questions that you have where you seek to turn this country upside down and disenfranchise the over 60 million people who voted for this president of the United States? You are a plaything of the media. You are a plaything of the Democrats. You're a plaything of people within the Obama administration who sought from day one to take this president down. Now, the president of the United States is not an ordinary citizen. He must protect the Constitution. He has to protect the office of the presidency. He has to protect the president's prerogatives. He has to protect separation of powers. That's what this president is doing against this rogue prosecutor. It is Trump who has the white hat. It is Mueller who has the black hat. And the president's lawyers, should this go to court, are going to have a fantastic opportunity to expose Mr. Mueller, to question Mr. Mueller, to question where does he have his constitutional power under the Appointments Clause, to question him about whether he thinks a president can be indicted even though the Department of Justice says no, to question him to explain why, despite public report about the FBI, the CIA, the FISA report, the dossier, Hillary Clinton's association with Russians, we have Russians everywhere, but not with Trump. They're with Hillary Clinton. They're with Fusion GPS. They're with Mr.
Bruce
Orr over at the Justice Department.
No. This is important. Stay on that. They are everywhere. Russian lies sold to FISA court judges, a fraud committed on the court, not once, Mark, 4 times. Lies spread purposely to the American people. That sounds like the former Soviet Union, Mark Levin.
So the question is, if Mr. Mueller is such a great prosecutor, why is he blind as a bat to all this that's taking place in this country? You want to pursue Russia, Mr. Mueller? I can find you a first-year law student who can show you what to pursue. The fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen of the court, The president wasn't a witness to a crime. He wasn't surrounded by Russians. The president didn't commit a crime. The president cannot be indicted. So, as I keep saying on this program, Mr. Mueller, you can leave the room and don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. We'll see you in court. And if they go to court, then it is an opportunity for the president's lawyers to expose exactly what's going on here.
What should they do? This is important. Focus on that.
Well, I think what they should do is not only ask the court to explain what authority Mr. Mueller has to do what he's doing, given the ridiculous appointment that he received that is so broad it's preposterous. And if you can indict a sitting president, you better have a damn good reason to want to sit down with him and question him. These questions, if they're to be asked at all, have to be very, very narrow. I wouldn't sit down with him and answer any question. The fact of the matter is there is no obstruction of justice. He wasn't a witness to a crime. He didn't commit a crime. He can't be indicted. Mr. Mueller can't question him about presidential prerogatives. So what the hell is the point of this whole thing other than to set him up for impeachment because the Democrats and the media want to remove a president who was elected by over 60 million people to disenfranchise all of us? What's the point of this other than that?
That's why we call you the Great One. Mark Levin, thanks for being with us. Don't forget, Life, Liberty, Levin, every Sunday night, 10 Eastern, #1 show on cable that night. Don't miss it. Coming up, we expose one of the most shameless examples of brutal media bias against the president. And, of course, it's coming from the New York Times. Sean Spicer, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, next. Stay with us. So-called paper record, the New York Times, yesterday sinks to a new low when they published an op-ed, Thomas Friedman, titled, "Keep Up the Blanket Coverage of Trump. It Hurts Him." All the news that is fit to print indeed. This is the same newspaper that recently hired Sarah Zhang to its editorial board. Now, you may want to remember, she's the one who, among other things, tweeted the hashtag cancel white people. She wrote that she gets, quote, joy out of being cruel to old white men. Also took pride in her hatred for President Trump, writing, quote, I was equating Trump to Hitler before it was cool. And, of course, F the police so many times it's hard to count. Joining us with a reaction, author of The Briefing, Politics, Press, The People, a New York Times bestseller, former White House press secretary Sean Spicer, author of Why We Fight, Fox News national security strategist Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Sean, these are all friends of yours. This is the New York Times.
Yeah, they're close buddies. Well, look, I think they recognize the Media Research Center did an analysis that 92% of the coverage against President Trump has been negative. So I'm not how much sure there's more to throw at him. But the reality is that he's getting things done, and his approval rating shows it. Unemployment rate's at 3.9%. More blacks and Hispanics are employed than ever before. The GDP hit a new level at 4.1%. The deregulatory state is going down. The judiciary is getting remade. I mean, all of these things, no matter how hard the press tries to go against the president, he continues to get results for the American people. So I get that it's frustrating for someone like Mr. Friedman to see no matter how much they fight against him, that he continues to succeed. And I think the American people are smarter than he understands, and they are actually showing it with their approval rating. So no matter how hard they try, he's getting results.
Dr. Gorka, I look at the hire of the New York Times, and I just sit here and I look at all these groups. They love to attack every conservative talk radio host, everybody on the Fox News channel that has an opinion, even you and Sean and pretty much anybody they disagree with. And I'm wondering, let's just flip the script and say that, oh, a conservative said these things. All these groups that get paid millions and millions of dollars to silence and boycott and attack and go to advertisers, they're kind of silent over this. I'm shocked.
None of them are journalists. All those people that my former colleague Sean Spicer had to deal with at the podium, they're activists. They're political activists. Doesn't matter whether it's the New York Times, the Daily Beast, Huffington Post, they are all activists. Thomas Friedman is why Donald Trump is president. This opinion piece tells you everything you need to know, Sean. What did he actually say in that piece? He said, don't focus on the facts. Don't focus on the economy, the lack of unemployment, the roaring trade, economics. We've got to take him down. That's the left. They haven't learned anything in the last 2 years, and the results in the special elections this week and the primaries tell you everything that they have not learned. But hey, it's great. Roll on November.
Listen, I don't take any votes for granted. I want to be very clear here. I think this is the most important midterm. Impeach the president. You know, no vision to help the forgotten men and women in this country. No consideration. Obama failed and Trump has great economic success, foreign policy success. Keep Obamacare. Eliminate ICE, keep open borders. They want their crumbs back, and they want these investigations to stop. And yeah, Devin Nunes was right.
Hey, Sean, look, here's what I'm going to tell you right now. And here's the reality, that if the Democrats were to take control of the House, all you're going to do is add more and more investigations 24 hours a day. That's what their agenda is. And all of the ability of President Trump to get his agenda with a Republican House is going to stop. People have to understand that President Trump may not be on the ballot this November, but his agenda certainly is. We need to go out there with the same fervor that we elected the president with this November and keep a Republican House.
Yeah. Dr. Gorka, what do you say? We'll give you the last word.
I think November 2018 is potentially more important than November 2016. Fake news is real. The president is right to hit back. Ignore them. Get on social media. Repost the president. Find the facts out for yourself and ask yourself one thing. What do you think of the last year and a half? If you like it, that's what we need to vote for.
But they got to know this is really, in a large way, about President Trump and destroying and stopping his agenda. They've got to understand this is to undermine the vote that they had in 2016.
Sean, the reality is, and you said it earlier, they're going to destroy anybody that tries to support the president. They've sent now fake protesters supported by people like Samantha Bee to come after me. This is the problem. Anybody who's with this president right now, they will do whatever they can to destroy them. And I think we have to make it very clear right now what we're up against.
Got it. All right, guys. Good to see you both. Right on commentary. When we come back, Tommy Lahren, she goes to San Francisco to ask residents what they think about their sanctuary city policies. Do they remember Kate Steinle? And much more. All right, yesterday we showed you Tommy Lahren hitting the streets of liberal Portland, Oregon. Well, tonight, Tommy takes on the city by the bay, San Francisco, to find out what people think of that city's sanctuary city laws and much more. Take a look.
What do you think about the state's immigration policy as it relates to being a sanctuary state by our lovely Governor Jerry Brown?
I agree with that.
You do?
Yes.
I think we should fix the system. I don't think separating families at the border is the right way to do it.
If you're going to come over here, at least do it the right way, and you're coming into someone else's country. And if there's no immigration, then why do we even have borders? Might as well just open it up to everyone.
Do you think we should just have an open border?
Welcome all in. Welcome all. Welcome all. Yeah.
Welcome all in? What do you think we're going to do in this state about our illegal immigration problem?
I don't have a crystal ball, so I really don't know where it's going to go.
I think it's probably better for us to provide aid to these countries to help them become a better situation in their own country, and then people don't have to come here illegally.
Do you think that they should follow the rule of law?
Of course. Everybody should have pay their taxes, follow the rules, and make the best of yourself. And that's how we make America great.
All right, thanks, Tommy. Pretty reasonable, actually. Not too bad for San Francisco. All right, some of you keep asking me, when are we going to get to the end of this deep state? Remember, it's now worse than we ever thought. It's unpeeling layers of an onion. We're not stopping. And I can tell you this, I promise you it's getting much worse. We'll get to the bottom of it. Always fair and balanced, but not to destroy Trump media. Let not your heart be troubled. Here's Laura Ingraham.